Filming this series might have looked wholesome, but let's be real. The crew often kept things entertaining with alcohol, practical jokes, and some surprising on-set choices that would never fly today. These 20 weird truths prove that for all its Sunday school earnestness, crafting life on the prairie was closer to summer camp chaos. Forget the pious image, it's time to laugh at how messy it really was. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Number 1, the dirt wasn't really dirt. Picture Pa out in the field, hands gripping the plow, sweat rolling as he turns the soil with care. It looks gritty and real, right? Except that dirt under the camera wasn't the ground at all. If you'd expected rocks, dust, and heavy prairie mud, you'd be disappointed. The close-ups looked far too neat to be the rugged farmland of the 1800s. So what was it? Crushed walnut shells. The crew spread them on the surface to mimic freshly worked earth, giving the camera that farm-ready texture without the mess. It was quick to clean, light to spread, and surprisingly convincing. The illusion of honest prairie labor was literally held together by broken nuts. Number 2, Michael Landon's ban on beards. What's one thing you don't often see in Walnut Grove? Beards. For a show set in the 1800s, it stands out, because back then facial hair was practically a badge of survival. From miners to farmers, men often wore thick beards, but Michael Landon wouldn't allow them on set. He believed a clean-shaven look projected health and warmth, even if it meant stepping away from reality. His own appearance set the mold, neatly groomed, approachable, and always camera-ready. So while the prairie might have been rugged, the townsmen of Walnut Grove stayed surprisingly smooth-faced. Number 3, the grass that wouldn't quit growing. Walnut Grove looked like an untouched frontier paradise, wide plains stretching as if no one had ever set foot there. That image came across so naturally on screen that it was easy to believe the land hardly changed. But here's the twist. The set wasn't in Minnesota at all. It sat in sunny California, where wild grass grew too fast for its own good. The crew had to mow entire fields on a regular basis, not for neatness, but to stop the grass from looking freshly trimmed in one scene and knee-high in the next. Number 4, Laura was just a kid. Fans remember Laura as brave, outspoken, and wise beyond her years, but the actress behind her was still very much a child. Melissa Gilbert was only 9 when cameras first started rolling, stepping into storylines filled with heavy themes and complicated emotions. At that age, most kids are juggling homework and playground games, not 12-hour days under hot lights. She balanced on-set tutoring with long filming schedules, moving between multiplication tables and scenes where she carried the weight of the episode. Number 5, wine country cast parties. You'd expect the adults on set to cool off with lemonade between takes, but that wasn't the reality. The show filmed near a California winery, and that location came with very tempting perks. Instead of iced tea or soda, there were plenty of bottles within reach, and the cast made good use of them. Reports say that going through 2 cases of beer in a single day wasn't unusual, and coffee mugs sometimes held more bourbon than caffeine. While the children rehearsed lines, the adults casually sipped their way through the afternoon heat. Number 6, blowing up the town was very real. The final episode of Little House on the Prairie featured a shocking goodbye. The entire town of Walnut Grove blown to pieces. For viewers at home, the explosions looked like impressive TV magic designed to tug at emotions and provide an unforgettable ending. Michael Landon refused to fake it with special effects. He brought in real dynamite to level the carefully built set once and for all, giving the farewell a raw finality you could actually feel. Walnut Grove didn't just end, it truly went up in smoke. Number 7, a house you couldn't live in. Charles Ingalls was shown crafting a home filled with warmth and comfort, a place that seemed solid enough to weather Minnesota winters. On screen, the wooden walls, flickering fire, and family gatherings painted the picture of a house built to last. But in reality, those walls held no plumbing, no insulation, and not even a full roof overhead. It was designed only for cameras with open sections so equipment and crew could move freely. Laura's fictional house felt alive, but it was never a real shelter. It carried more sentiment than structure. Number 8, Caroline's secret audition name. Before she became the familiar face of Caroline Ingalls, Karen Grassel had something else in mind. She showed up to audition not as Karen at all, but under the unusual name Gabriel Tree. But Michael Landon wasn't buying it. He told her flat out that Gabriel Tree didn't fit the tone he wanted for the wholesome mother figure in Walnut Grove. And just like that, even before the show began filming, Ma Ingalls was being branded for family television. Number 9. A whole town built from scratch. Walnut Grove always looked like it had been standing quietly for decades, with its church, shops, and dusty streets carrying the weight of history. But it wasn't a preserved town at all. It was brand new. Number 10. Landon owned the tears. Ever notice how the crying scenes on Little House always felt strangely similar, no matter which character broke down? That wasn't by coincidence. Michael Landon personally stepped in to direct nearly every emotional breakdown on the show, keeping total control whenever the tears were flowing. He cared about the rhythm, how long the silence lasted before someone spoke, and exactly when the tears should fall. Every single tear that rolled down a character's cheek came under the guidance of the same creative hand. Number 11. Mary's makeup made her sick. Melissa Sue Anderson had to look flawless under all those bright studio lights, but that came with a hidden problem. The makeup used on her for long filming days didn't just feel heavy, it triggered allergic reactions that left her skin irritated and painful. She ended up with rashes and discomfort, yet makeup couldn't be avoided. With the cameras rolling, every shine had to be covered, every blemish softened. No matter what cost, it brought her behind the scenes. Number 12. Landon's underwear secret. Michael Landon always looked tough and put together in his Pioneer trousers. But what no one saw was what he chose not to wear. Underneath those costumes, Landon skipped underwear completely. He claimed it was simply more comfortable, especially under the constant heat of filming days. Number 13. Unruly horses on set. On screen, the horses pulling wagons looked steady and dependable, almost like they'd been working those dusty roads for years. But that polished image didn't match what happened behind the cameras. Many of the horses weren't fully trained, and the unpredictability often showed. Number 14. Nellie's wig of pain. Nellie Olson's blonde curls were impossible to miss on the show. They gave her that perfect mean girl look, instantly recognizable and just the right touch of prim and polished. But what looked glamorous to viewers was the opposite for Allison Arngrim, who played her. Number 15. Carrie was played by twins. Carrie Ingalls always seemed to pop up in scenes, whether it was running through fields or sitting at the dinner table. But that consistent presence wasn't the work of one child actor. Because of child labor laws, a single kid couldn't spend enough hours on set to cover everything producers needed. Number 16. The heat was brutal. Imagine standing under the California sun dressed in layers of wool, cotton, and a stiff bonnet. That was the daily reality for the cast in Simi Valley, where filming took place. Temperatures there often climbed past the 90s, sometimes pushing well into triple digits, while the actors had no choice but to stay wrapped in period costumes. Number 17. Scripts written overnight. How did Little House on the Prairie manage to churn out new episodes for nearly a decade without falling apart? A big piece of that puzzle was Michael Landon's lightning-fast writing process. When deadlines loomed, he wasn't afraid to sit down and hammer out entire scripts in a single night. In many ways, the Prairie world that felt so timeless on screen was actually born from frantic overnight pages stacked by dawn. Number 18. Cold winters that were actually hot. Those frosty blizzards in Walnut Grove looked bone-chilling, but the reality couldn't have been more opposite. Instead of freezing winds, the cast filmed those winter storms while standing in California's blistering summer heat, sweat dripping beneath layers of fur and wool. Number 19. Victor French and his on-set habit. Mr. Edwards was meant to be the rugged, kind-hearted friend every family wished they had. But Victor French added his own twist behind the scenes. Off-camera, and sometimes even while still in costume, he could usually be found with a cigarette in hand. That habit clashed sharply with the frontier setting, where chimneys and campfires were the only smoke supposed to be rising. Number 20. The real Laura didn't stay in Walnut Grove. On the show, Laura Ingalls seemed rooted in Walnut Grove. Her childhood unfolding almost entirely in that little Minnesota town, the stories made it feel like the permanent backdrop of her life, the place where all her greatest moments happen. The Walnut Grove we know isn't Laura's lasting home. It's a version created by television to make her story work. Now that you know the truth, it's worth rewatching the series with fresh eyes. Instead of ruining the charm, these secrets highlight the effort, grit, and strange little quirks behind it all. The fantasy still shines, but now it's even more fascinating knowing how much real work went into creating that world.